Happy Friday, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on Up North Live Unscripted at 6:30. And it has been a wonderful week weather-wise. Wow, that alliteration just kind of blew me away. Wonderful week weather-wise. It's been so nice and sunny, and it's going to get even warmer this weekend. Joe, how warm can we expect it to get?
A lot of W's in there.
Yeah.
You know, like today, we had some spots. The warm spot today, congratulations, Boyne Falls.
Woo!
Yep, 72 was the high temperature there, at least of the reporting stations I take a look at. I'm sure somebody out there is like, well, no, I had 80 on my thermometer today. But that warm weather is going to continue, Maya, into the weekend. It's going to be nice. Every single day we talk about needing rain. There is a little in the forecast down the road. But yeah, nice weekend coming up. We'll have more on that a little later. And then when things start cooling down, too, because there is a little bit of cooler weather on the way. We'll have more on that a little later in Maine Weather.
All right, thank you, Joe. And as electric vehicles become more popular and we see more of them on the roads, one of Michigan's largest utilities is incorporating artificial intelligence into devices to better understand the impact on the electric grid. So Consumers Energy received nearly $20 million in financial assistance from the U.S. Department of Energy, and it's to help integrate electric vehicles into Michigan's grid. The funding comes from the U.S. Department of Energy's Grid Resilience and Innovation Partnership Program, and Consumers Energy is actually matching that grant, so some $40 million is going to be used to add AI-powered devices to 18,000 electric meters that are used by EV owners. And these devices will provide real-time data and predictions to better understand the impact EVs have on the grid. Now let's turn things over to our question of the day, which is related to this story. What kind of car would you buy if you had to in the next 5 years? The options are full electric, hybrid, or gasoline. Scan that QR code on your screen right now to vote. Looks like we have 487 votes so far, and gasoline is leading with 76% of the votes. Hybrid has 20, and full electric has 4. Now, you can join the conversation by, of course, voting on our question of the day. You can also leave a comment on our stream on Facebook and YouTube, and you can go to our Facebook page, Up North Live, and scroll down a little bit till you find a post with our question of the day. We have 222 comments on it right now. A lot of people are commenting just like the type of car they would want to buy. So some people are saying, you know, a Chevy Silverado, a Chevy Denali, stuff like that. But Jennifer says it depends on if they've improved electric enough by then. Otherwise, I would try to go hybrid. I will look at some of those comments and read them a little later, but let's turn things over now to election coverage. With less than 3 weeks until the presidential election, both parties are busy campaigning across battleground states, including right here in Michigan. Donald Trump is holding multiple campaign events today, and so is Kamala Harris. She was in Grand Rapids today, and that's where we find Princess Janae Steverson with our sister station. She was in Grand Rapids at Riverside Park, and she has much more on what Kamala Harris is trying to get across to voters with just a few weeks left until the election.
Friday afternoon, Vice President Kamala Harris came through this tunnel to speak to Michiganders who say she's got their vote. The vice president and current Democratic nominee for the next president of the United States had hundreds of state natives lining up at Riverside Park in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They were all waiting for their chance to cheer her on, many saying they support a politician who values the working middle class and respects a person's right to do what they please with their own body. VP Harris spoke to her supporters about a number of vital issues, some of which included immigration and health care. Ahead of her debut, supporters explained to me why they are going to vote blue in the November election.
To let her know that we thoroughly support her. I think she represents everything that we need in the White House right now.
We are here because we know it is time to turn the page. It is time to turn the page because America is ready to chart a new way forward.
I want a leader that respects our Constitution, okay, and that has a real message of hope for the future, especially for our youth.
This is VP Harris's first stop in Michigan. Then she's going to head to Lansing and then later on the east side of the state in Oakland County. Reporting in Grand Rapids, Princess Janae Steverson.
And as I mentioned earlier, Former President Donald Trump is also campaigning in Michigan today. He held a manufacturing roundtable in Oakland County this afternoon, and he is set to hold a rally in Detroit this evening. This is him getting off of his plane in Michigan today. This is his 13th visit to Michigan in this 2024 election campaign, and we will have coverage of his rally in Detroit tonight on Up North Live News at 11. Moving along now, we have some more stories to share with you. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is giving more than $2 million to specialty crop associations in Michigan. Now, these grants are awarded annually, usually for marketing and research. And this year, the Michigan Asparagus Advisory Board is receiving around $125,000. And the board says that Michigan produces the most asparagus in the entire country. And they plan to use this money to explore marketing the crop online.
We have a lot of people that are shopping online, so they may shop online for pickup. They're not going into the store all the time. And because it's an impulse purchase and because we're seasonal, we need to figure out how do we convince people to buy asparagus during our season when they're shopping online.
And for a full list of all the associations in Michigan that did receive grant money, you can head to our website, UpNorthLive.com. Now, if you are a cross-country skier, this is a story that probably hits a little close to home for you. So you're probably aware of the North American Vasa. It's a cross-country ski race that happens every year in Traverse City. But after years of weather concerns impacting the races, organizers now have a plan B just in case things kind of fall through again because of the weather. So in February 2025, next February, thousands of cross-country skiers will be heading to the Traverse City area for the 49th annual North American Vasa race. And this year, the race was at Timber Ridge Resort. Well, that's where it's usually at. It was actually canceled this year because there was just no snow. And then the year before that, in 2023, the races had to be shortened and some events also canceled because of the weather. So plans are now in place to move the event to a new location in case the weather doesn't cooperate this year.
Last year, the race was canceled. The year before that, it was shortened. We went through the COVID years. This year, we wanted to have an event, so we teamed partnership with the Traverse City Parks and Recreation at Hickory Hills here. They have snowmaking capability. They've already hosted a junior national cross-country ski event and also the state finals. It's a great backup plan.
So registration is underway for the 49th annual North American Vasa Festival of Races. It's going to take place February 8th and 9th at Timber Ridge Resort, weather permitting. If not, it'll be moved to Hickory Hills where they do have snow machines so they can make some snow. All right, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll check back in with our chief meteorologist, Joe Charlevoix. He'll have much more on the forecast for this weekend, and also he mentioned that rain is in the forecast. We know we can use some, so he'll tell you when we could get a little bit of rain coming up in just a few minutes.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
You hear me? Okay, we'll give it a go. Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. Before we check in with Joe for more on the weather, we're going to dive a little deeper into a story that we shared with you earlier in the newscast. So Consumers Energy received some money to help bring in some AI devices that will be put into electric meters that are used by EV owners. And these devices will provide real-time data and predictions to better understand the impact EVs have on the grid. So for more on this story, let's bring in Brian Wheeler. He is joining us live. He's with Consumers Energy. Hi, Brian. Thanks so much for being here. Oh, hi, Brian. Can you hear me? Oh, all right. Looks like Brian cannot hear me. So let's actually turn things over to weather, and we'll try to connect with Brian again in a couple of minutes. So, Joe, we know it's going to be a beautiful weekend, and you kind of teased that some rain could be on the way. When could we see that?
Well, probably not till Wednesday.
Okay.
So it's still a few days away, but we're hoping for a little bit of rain. But I guess if you're going to have a nice weekend, the rain might as well hold off.
Yeah.
Until later in the week. Let's take a look at our three big things, Maya, that we have going on in our weather here across northern Michigan. First one, unseasonably warm weather is in the forecast through at least Tuesday. So we're going to get a couple warm days in here Saturday, Sunday. It'll carry over into Monday, Tuesday as well. A few showers on Wednesday. You can see that along a cold front there. Not much rain, and then moderate to severe drought conditions. They're going to persist. We don't have a lot of rain in the forecast moving ahead. There's just that chance there, it looks like, on Wednesday. Here's a look around northern Michigan. We are inching in on Sunset. Well, you can see it going down there in Gaylord. Whitefish Point, Mackinac City, Cadillac. That's the view around several spots here in northern Michigan. What a nice evening out there, though. All four of our areas, sometimes we have different weather, different spots, cover a big area, and everybody's kind of the same tonight with that pleasant weather. It was warm. We mentioned off the top of the show that Boyne Falls was the warm spot today at 72 degrees. These were the high temperatures today. Sheboygan and Pellston reached 70, Alpena, along with Traverse City. And even up at Sault Ste. Marie, you had 67 there today. Nationally, here's what's going on around the country tonight. There's our satellite radar picture. Not much on the eastern half of the country. Storm system riding into the Pacific Northwest. There is some snow way out here. That's Utah, parts of Colorado. You see those pink shaded areas? That's where we have winter storm warnings in southern Utah and Colorado, and then some snow up into parts of Wyoming. Meanwhile, closer to home, you have to get up into Minnesota and the Dakotas, but there are some showers. That's along a cold front. We'll pencil it in right there. You see that frontal boundary north of the Twin Cities. That front is going to try to work in, but here's what's going to happen. It's going to press in and then kind of fall apart, wash out as it gets here. So as we look at our chances for any rain and snow, there's nothing tomorrow. A little increase in clouds in the UP with that front. Tomorrow night, maybe a shower there. Right there. And that's it. Otherwise, this front washes out. A little cloud cover Sunday morning, and then we're back to dry weather. Sunday afternoon looks fantastic. Same thing as we head into the day on Monday. Here's a look at our extended forecast. Oh, before that, I just want to point out, too, how dry it's been. This is the drought monitor. Look at the areas in orange there, or that peach shading. That's where we have a severe drought because of how dry it's been, and the rest of the area is pretty much under a moderate drought currently. So we definitely need more rain, and that chance, as you see here on the extended forecast, is not until Wednesday when we drop into the 50s. So that's when a cold front comes in, warm through Tuesday, showers Wednesday, and then behind that, it'll be a little bit cooler Thursday and also on Friday.
Thanks so much, Joe. And now we have Brian Wheeler from Consumers Energy joining us. Hi, Brian. Can you hear me okay?
I sure can.
Okay, good. Well, it's good to have you on the show to talk a little bit more about this funding that Consumers Energy just received to kind of help integrate electric vehicles into Michigan's grid. So can you talk a little bit about how this will do that?
Yeah, and really it's good news for Michigan. We found out today that we're getting $20 million from the federal government. And Consumers Energy is going to use that money and $20 million of our own to really track the impact of electric vehicles. It's important because, as you know, EVs are growing fast. They're still not a large portion of all the cars that are on the road, but their growth is it's tripled over the last 4 years. And so that means we need to make sure that we're doing our best to integrate them, to make sure they're using power at the right time and that we're getting good information. So we're getting money that's going to help with the technology side of that to track the impact of electric vehicles and pave the way for more here in Michigan.
And so these AI-powered devices that will be installed in 18,000 electric meters, where will, like, what meters are going to be getting these devices?
Yeah, if you think about it, Consumers Energy powers nearly 2 million homes and businesses all throughout the Lower Peninsula. That's across your viewership area as well. And so over the next year, we're going to be really working out the details. By 2026, we expect to be putting in these devices to help us get better information, better data. We're going to focus on communities where there are lots of electric vehicles in particular, because that's really the focus here. But you're going to see them throughout northern Michigan, clear to East Lansing where I live, and really everywhere in between.
So in 2026, they will be installed. How long will you be collecting data for?
Yeah, that's a great question. This is a multi-year project. Right now, we're really just assessing the grant and the details. Our expectation is these devices, which use artificial intelligence to really gather and crunch the data that comes out of them, they'll be in place for several years. Before we do that, before we ever get to the point of installing devices or doing anything with people's meters, rest assured we're in contact with you, the customer, to make sure you understand what's going on and you consent and there's no surprises. So this will be a slow process before we get to that point. 18,000 is a lot of devices to put in, but the upside is great because we know that it's going to accommodate that growth for electric vehicles here in Michigan.
And of course, we won't know for sure for another couple of years, but is there anything that you expect to learn from this data?
Yeah, if you think about it, not so long ago, we used to get information from those meters that are on your home, your business, maybe once a day. Today, we get that information once an hour. But now we're going to use really great technology, new technology, so we can get what we call real-time data being updated all the time. There'll be a lot of information, which is why the AI part comes in to really help process it. But we're going to see exactly what's going on and then help make the right recommendations and right plans so that more EVs come on, use more power, and they use it at the right time, the right ways.
So what exactly is the data that's going to be collected?
Yeah, it's really going to show the energy usage that's going on. You really get a sense to see what impact the individual electric vehicle or collectively what these thousands and thousands of vehicles do. There's a lot of power that's available. Sometimes people worry when it comes to electric vehicles, but if you think about it at nighttime, we turn off the lights, we shut down our appliances, our air conditioning. The grid, the thing that the system that powers our homes and businesses, it has the space, the capacity to continue to power those vehicles when they're charging at the right times. But there's lots of integration, lots of change to take place. We have about 35,000 EVs here in the we serve in Michigan today. That number is going to grow very quickly.
And this might be a little repetitive to what you've already mentioned, but what would you say the overall goal of this initiative is?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing to know too is that this is $20 million coming from the federal government that's going to serve a real need for us, and that's $20 million that doesn't have to come from our customers. We don't have to ask our customers to help. Similarly, we got $100 million last year to do some major upgrades across our system. So these are benefits that ultimately reduce costs for you and me. We're going to see now, once we get these devices in place, we're going to get better, faster data that gives us a clear picture in terms of what's happening when we put those electric vehicles in the system. And once we get that great picture of what's going on, then we can make those sort of policy and strategy decisions that pave the way for more EVs in the state.
Sure. Well, Brian, anything else you want to say about these new devices or this money that consumers received?
Yeah, certainly it's going to be a little while before it all rolls out. So if it is wondering, will my meter be getting some changes right away? The answer is no, not this year, probably not next year either. Before we get to that point where we touch people's meters or make those changes, we'll be in touch with you, our customers, to let you know what we're doing, and then continue to see more from us in terms of electric vehicles and powering the future here in Michigan.
And I'm sure this is a story that we will continue to follow as well. So, Brian, I'm sure we'll be in touch again a little later on. But thanks so much for joining us on Unscripted. We really appreciate it. And we do need to take another quick commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to bring in Harrison Beebe, our sports director, live from one of the many games happening for Week 8 of high school football. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, week 8 of high school football is upon us. We are just 6 minutes away from kickoff for a whole lot of exciting games all across northern Michigan. One of those big matchups is happening tonight in Frankfort, and that's where we find our sports director, Harrison Beebe, live now for a preview of that matchup and some others. Hey, Harrison.
Hey, Maya, how's it going?
Pretty good. How's the weather out there?
Ooh, it's a little chilly. So not only did I learn from last week where I'm not wearing a short sleeve polo, but I even wore the UpNorthLive vest tonight, and I'm still the t-shirt underneath. It's still a little cold. I'm like a weather watcher here in Frankfurt, just giving my report. Still a little chilly. But as we said last year, it is October, so especially when the sun goes down, we can't really complain. Yeah, great one tonight. Frankfurt, East Jordan. These two are always having dramatic finishes to their games. The last 4 games have all been decided by 6 points or less, so they line up pretty evenly. They're not really in the hunt for the conference title. Glen Lake controls that fate right now, but either way, East Jordan and Frankfurt, they're both probably going to be in the postseason, so they're kind of aligning themselves for that run in 2 weeks. We know TC West has got another big one at Thurlby Field tonight as the Titans are trying to get their 5th win of the season ahead of the Patriot game. Point City and Scotia, those are 2 5-win teams. One of them will have 6 wins by the end of the night. And what else we got on the big board? I think Inland Lakes and Bel Air. That'll be a real test to see if Bel Air can put a dent into Inland Lakes' perfect season. The Eagles are 6-1, but Inland Lakes is a state finalist from a year ago, and they appear that way again. Can Bel Air measure up? We'll find out. But as we know, Maya, it's a loaded weekend for college and pro football. Big one going down on Sunday. I think you're circling that one pretty good at U.S. Bank Stadium for Lions and Vikings. What's your prediction for Lions Vikings on Sunday?
Oh my gosh, I really have no idea. Obviously, it's going to be hopefully a close game. It's certainly not going to be a blowout like we saw in Dallas last week, so it'll be close. I think Detroit can pull it off, but gosh, it's going to be tough against that Minnesota defense. And of course, their offense has been so hot this year too. So, I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie.
I think you'll have fun regardless. So, yeah, Lions, biggest Lions game of the year. I think we can agree to that to this point. And then, of course, Michigan State, both back from their bye weeks. They'll have a couple games tomorrow. So, a couple pretty important matchups. MSU's trying to end a 3-game losing streak to Iowa and Michigan. They're 0-1 on the road at Washington. They're going to try and get a road win against 22-ranked Illinois. So, loaded football weekend starts tonight.
Yes, thanks so much, Harrison, for that. And we will have highlights from all those high school football games tonight at 11 for Hometown Highlights. So be sure to tune in then. That'll do it for sports. We'll be right back after this break.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
And let's take one last look at our question of the day results. What kind of car would you buy if you had to in the next 5 years? We have almost 500 votes, and 76% of voters say gasoline, 20% say hybrid, and 4% say full electric. So if you haven't voted yet, you can scan that QR code on your screen right now. You can also go to our website, UpNorthLive.com, and we have a web post with the question of the day. That'll do it for Up North Live Unscripted on this Friday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend, everyone.